Hey everyone, welcome back. Tonight's story is one of the most intense and disturbing horror mysteries I have ever narrated. It all begins at 4 in the morning when I wake up to a message from my dad that says, "Grab your sister and run. Don't trust your mother." From there, everything spirals into a nightmare of shapeshifters, missing family members, and creatures called replacements that steal faces and mimic the people you love. If you enjoy long cinematic horror stories, creepypasta-style narrations, or survival tales that build tension piece by piece, you are in the right place. This is a full 10-part horror story filled with suspense, mystery, forest creatures, and a terrifying family secret you will not see coming. Make sure you watch all the way through because this one has twists you do not want to miss. And if you enjoy dark storytelling, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another late-night horror upload. Now take a deep breath. Let's begin. My dad texted me at 4 a.m. "Grab your sister and run. Don't trust your mother." So I did. Asterisk asterisk. Ever feel like one text can slice your entire life open like a hot knife through ice? I woke up to my phone buzzing like it owed the world an apology. For in the morning, it's still dark outside. The kind of dark that feels heavier than usual, like the air knows something before you do. I squinted at the screen, and there it was. A message from Dad. A message that did not sound like my dad at all. "Grab your sister and run. Do not trust your mother." My heart slammed against my ribs. For a moment I thought it was a prank, some glitch, some cosmic joke. But then my phone buzzed again. Same number. Hurry. I stumbled out of bed and nearly tripped on a hoodie because my hands were shaking. The whole house felt wrong, as if the walls leaned in to listen. I tiptoed to my sister's room and nudged her awake. She groaned, rolled over, and whispered that I better have a real good reason for dragging her out of sleep. I showed her the text. She froze. Her face drained of color so fast it looked like time had reversed and pulled her soul back to safety. But then we heard footsteps downstairs. Slow, heavy, too deliberate. Not Mom's usual shuffle. Not her soft humming. This was different. Like someone rehearsing menace. We looked at each other. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We grabbed our backpacks and slipped out the window into the wet grass behind the house, the moon glinting off the grass like a warning sign. Because what we found waiting outside was worse than anything inside. You ever walk outside expecting safety and instead find someone waiting like they already read your fear? We crept toward the backyard gate, trying to stay quiet. My sister kept asking with her eyes if Dad had lost it or if this was something real. I felt like the world had flipped upside down and no one bothered to warn us. But then we saw him, a man standing by the gate, motionless. His silhouette was tall, shoulders angled forward, head tilted in our direction like he had been waiting just for us. My breath hitched. I grabbed my sister's hand and pulled her behind the shed. The man stepped closer. The gravel under his shoes crunched like broken bones. I hated that sound. It clung to my spine. I whispered to my sister that we needed a distraction. She nodded and tossed a rock to the far side of the yard. It clacked against the fence. The man's head snapped toward it. Not a normal turn. Too quick. Too sharp. We bolted. Our feet slapped against the grass. I expected him to chase. I expected the thunder of footsteps. But then the yard fell silent. The gate slowly creaked open behind us. I turned. The man stood in the opening, but he didn't step through. He only smiled. It was a cold smile. A wrong smile. The kind that says he knows something we don't. The kind that makes your stomach fold in half. We ran harder. Down the block. Past the old Jefferson mailbox. Past the flickering street lamp that always hummed. We didn't stop until we reached the park where Dad used to teach us to ride bikes. My phone buzzed again. "Dad, do not go back home. There is no time to explain. Meet me." And where he told us to meet him made everything even stranger. You ever follow instructions that feel like they came from a bad spy movie, but you do it anyway, because fear is louder than logic? Dad told us to meet him behind the old rest stop on Highway 14. The place had been abandoned for years. The windows were boarded up. The sign hung crooked like it had given up on attracting customers. Everything about it smelled like secrets. We reached it as the sky faded into a deep pre-dawn blue. Crickets chirped in a frantic rhythm, as if something nearby disturbed the whole ecosystem. I kept checking behind us. No sign of the man from the gate. But then that almost made it worse. Silence creates its own kind of threat. We crouched behind the building and waited. My sister hugged her knees. I tried to act brave, even though my insides felt like melted ice cream. Finally, headlights approached. Dad's old truck. He stepped out, hair wild, eyes bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He hugged us tight. Too tight. Then he whispered, "She is not your mother." I pulled back. "What does that mean? Are you out of your mind?" He shook his head. "Listen to me. Your real mother is gone. The thing living in our house looks like her, speaks like her, but it is not her." My sister started crying. I felt sick. My world cracked open. But then Dad grabbed our shoulders. "She cannot follow us here. We are moving now." Just as he said that, the air shifted. A quiet crunch behind the trees. Like someone watching, and when the watcher stepped out, everything spiraled worse than we imagined. Ever see someone you love move in a way that tells you instantly it is not them anymore? Out of the trees, she stepped. Mom. Or rather the shape of her. Her walk was wrong. Too fluid. Too smooth. Like her joints were learning motion instead of remembering it. Her head tilted at an angle that no living person could maintain without pain. My stomach twisted into knots. She smiled. Not Mom's warm smile. A stretched, heavy grin that belonged to something ancient. Dad pushed us behind him. "Run to the truck. Do not look back." But then the creature reached forward, fingers bending backward like branches in a storm. Its voice sounded like Mom but hollow, empty, echoing from someplace too deep inside. "Kids, come home." My sister covered her ears. I grabbed her and sprinted toward the truck. Dad blocked the thing. Swinging a crowbar he pulled from his belt. The creature hissed. The sound cut through the air like metal scraping ice. We jumped in the truck. I fumbled with the lock. Dad dove inside. The creature lunged. Its hands slapped against the window, leaving a smear of something dark. Dad hit the gas. Gravel spat out behind us. But then headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. A second car. No driver visible. No lights on inside. Just rolling toward us like it had its own hunger. Dad swore under his breath. "They found us." "They?" I asked. He didn't answer, and the truth about who they were made my skin crawl. Ever hear a truth so ugly that you wish you could spit it out like spoiled milk? Dad drove like he was trying to outrun gravity itself. The road blurred past us. The trees were dark streaks. The car behind us kept coming. No sound. No swerving. No hesitation. Like a predator locked onto prey. Dad finally spoke. "They are called the replacements. They copy people. Perfectly at first. But then the seams start to show." My sister whimpered. "Why us? They want families. They want roots. They want what they cannot make." His voice cracked. "They took your mother 6 weeks ago." My heart twisted. 6 weeks. 6 weeks of eating dinner with that thing. Laughing with it. Thinking it was her. I felt sick. Betrayed. Confused. A fire burned in my chest. But then the car behind us jerked forward, closing the gap. Dad swerved around a fallen tree. The replacement car followed with unnatural sharpness, tires not even squealing. We reached the cliffs. Dad braked hard and turned onto a hidden dirt path that barely looked like a road. The car behind us finally disappeared. For a moment, silence held us like a fragile glass bubble. Dad looked back at us. "If we are going to survive this, you both need to know everything." Because the truth he revealed after that question should never belong to any family. "If you were in that truck with us, what would you ask Dad next? Tell me your guess." Ever learned something that makes every memory twist into a darker shape? Dad parked near an abandoned lookout point. Fog rolled across the cliffs, thick like spilled milk creeping through the forest. He turned to us with a look that belonged to someone who had carried guilt for far too long. "It started with your grandfather," he whispered. "He made a deal with them." My stomach dropped. Deals never mean good things in stories like this. He wanted protection for the family. They promised him safety in exchange for shelter. He agreed. But then the replacements wanted more. They wanted humanity. They started taking what we loved. My sister trembled. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I hoped it was over. I hoped they stopped. But then your mother vanished. And I realized the deal never ended." But then a twig snapped behind us. My blood froze. Dad grabbed a crowbar. I pulled my sister close. Out of the fog, a shape emerged. Not the creature from before. Smaller. Younger. A boy. Maybe 12. His eyes glowed faintly. And he smiled the same stretched smile. "They want you," the boy said. Dad stepped forward. "Stay back." The boy tilted his head. "Your mother says hello." My heart hammered so loud I thought the fog itself could hear it. And then the boy showed us exactly how fast they can move. Ever see something move so fast you question the rules of the world? The boy lunged. One moment he stood still. The next he was a blur slicing through the fog. Dad swung the crowbar. It hit nothing but air. The boy skidded behind us, laughing in a voice that did not match his age. "Come on, play," my sister screamed. I grabbed her hand, and we bolted toward the woods. Branches whipped at our arms. Roots clawed at our ankles. But then the boy flashed ahead of us, appearing 10 feet in front like he teleported through the trees. Dad charged at him. The boy dodged with inhuman ease. His limbs bent too far. His neck twisted in a slow circle like a rotating mask. We needed a plan. Running blindly would get us killed. I spotted the old ranger station at the top of the ridge. A faint outline through the fog. "There," I whispered. We sprinted uphill. Oxygen burned in my lungs. My legs felt like concrete. The boys' laughter echoed behind us. Sharp, high-pitched, wrong. But then the laughter stopped. Silence. Heavy. Choking. We reached the station and shoved the door shut behind us. Dad barricaded it with a broken table. My sister collapsed on the floor, sobbing quietly. Dad whispered, "They are playing with us. They want us scared before taking." And then the station's radio flickered on with a voice we never expected. Ever hear your own name spoken through static by someone who should not know where you are? The radio on the desk crackled. A low hum buzzed like insects trapped inside the speakers. I walked toward it slowly. Dad tried to pull me back, but the static sharpened. Then we heard her. Mom's voice. Soft. Familiar. Terrifying. "Kids. Please. I am cold. Come home." My sister covered her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Dad shook his head violently. "That is not her. They record voices. They mimic tones." But then the radio shifted. Another voice joined. "The boy. They miss you. They want the family whole again." The windows rattled. Something pushed against the walls from outside. Scratching. Crawling. Whispering. The ranger station groaned like it was breathing. Dad grabbed the emergency flare from the wall. "They hate fire. We might push through them if we reach the lower trail." The scratching grew louder. The door bent inward. A single pale hand pressed through the gap. Fingers long. Nails cracked. I lit the flare. Its red glow filled the room with a bloody haze. The creatures outside hissed. Dad shouted, "Go now." And when we pushed out into the fog, we learned the creatures were not alone. Something older waited with them. You ever step into fog so thick it feels like walking into a hungry mouth? We burst out of the station. Flare held high. The creatures shrank back, but followed at a distance. Their movements twitched. Their eyes glowed faintly like dying embers. But then the fog parted. A tall silhouette appeared, taller than any human, arms long enough to brush the ground, its face hidden in the mist. The creatures fell silent around it. Dad whispered, "The first replacement." My skin prickled. Every instinct in me screamed to run, but the creature stepped forward. The fog peeled back, revealing a face that looked like Mom, but stretched across something far too large. Her eyes were wrong. Too many reflections inside them. Like mirrors reflecting mirrors. "Mother," she said in a layered voice that sounded like dozens speaking through one mouth. "We have waited." Dad held the flare tighter. "You cannot have them." The creature smiled. "We already did." I felt a pull in my chest. A tug, like invisible fingers hooking into my ribs. My sister staggered. She whispered, "I feel her inside my head." The creatures closed in. Dad roared and swung the flare. Fire cracked through the fog. The creatures hissed and fell back. "Run to the clearing," Dad yelled. We ran with everything left in us. The first replacement shrieked, a sound that cracked the air like splitting stone. We reached the clearing. A single lantern flickered in the center. Dad had said it earlier. "A trap," he shouted, now. The lantern burst open into a ring of fire. The creatures stopped. Even the first replacement hesitated. And that hesitation was the only chance we had to end this forever. Ever feel the world hold its breath waiting to see if you live or die? Dad dragged us behind him into the fire ring. The creatures circled outside it, but would not cross. Flames reflected in their hollow eyes. The first replacement hissed, stepping close enough that the heat blackened parts of its stretching face. "You do not belong to fire," it said. Dad lifted the flare. "But you fear it." The creature lunged. But then its foot touched the flame line. It screamed. Its form rippled like melting plastic. The other creatures shrieked in a chorus of pain. The fire spread through the clearing. Dad tossed the gas can into the blaze. Flames roared to life. The creatures scattered too late. The first replacement writhed. Its skin cracked. Its voice shattered. "Return to us," it whispered as it collapsed. Then silence fell. Heavy. Sacred. The fog thinned. The trees stood still. And for the first time in weeks, the night felt like a normal night again. Dad fell to his knees. "She is gone. Your real mother is gone." My sister held him. I held them both. The fire burned down to embers. The world felt raw but finally honest. We walked away from that clearing knowing nothing would ever be the same, but we were alive. And the replacements were gone. At least we hoped so. Thank you for watching this full 10-part horror story about the 4 a.m. warning, the creature that replaced our mother, and the terrifying battle against the replacements. If you enjoy long-form scary stories, narrated creepypasta, or deep survival horror with emotional endings, make sure you hit like because it helps this video reach more viewers. Comment below and tell me what you would do if this happened to your family. Would you stay in that town or run forever? I always read the comments, and your theories help shape future stories. If you want more narrated horror, dark fiction, or real-time survival-style storytelling, subscribe and turn on notifications. I post new cinematic horror videos every week. Thanks.